Hi everybody, I'm Mike.
And I'm Austin.
And for this podcast, we're talking about the final stage, or the final cycle of the deployment cycle, which is post-deployment. So the first thing post-deployment is that honeymoon period. Yes, it's not over just after the wedding. You get another one. So you get all the emotions that you can probably remember if you are married. You're overjoyed, you're happy, you love spending every moment with this person, and you're honestly just excited to have them back. You're getting over some of those feelings of anxiety of your spouse coming back, but you're just excited and you're just plain happy.
Yeah, and so it's important to mention that maybe the spouse at home is not able to meet the returning soldier. Maybe the child gets sick, or it's a short notice return, or they can't get off work, or whatever reason it may be. But that's okay, because that simple greeting right off the plane isn't the only time that this honeymoon phase lasts. It kind of leads into maybe a week or two past the soldier being home. And as you're going through getting used to the soldier being home, you start to lose that independence that you gained in those two previous phases of this emotional cycle. And that could be a good thing, it could be a bad thing. It really all depends on the couple, but there's definitely going to be a loss of independence because that soldier's back again. They're going to be involved in the decision making. They're going to have their own desires, their own maybe relaxation methods that they want, as well as both the spouse and the soldier are going to have their own ideas of what they want to do to go out and maybe celebrate the soldier's return, celebrate life events that they missed or anything like that. And so that independence again is going to be gone, which I think for a lot of couples is kind of what you want, because you want to be that couple, you want to be a team again, and so you're losing that independence and kind of going back into a team. But sometimes that can be a little bit difficult and needs to be a slow process as you move towards the next portion of this phase.
So yeah, just like Austin said, that loss of independence is a good thing, but it's definitely something that has to happen gradually, because both individuals, and this is my next point, is that there's going to be that need for your own space. You've both lived these very separate lives over the last couple of months, and you're used to doing things your way, because each one of you had a role to play where you were directly in charge of your decisions. And those decisions were very different, and now you have to blend those two very separate paths back together again. And it's often difficult, because both people were in this leadership role before, where they were used to making these decisions, and they were used to making them on their own, without the other's input. And there was that system of trust there, but now it's difficult once again, because when you're merging that trust is still there, but you start to second guess things because that individual is now in the room and they're not gone anymore. So that is difficult. So just understanding that there's going to be some times where you two will be distant, and it's not that they stopped loving you, it's not that they stopped caring about you, it's that they were so used to doing things a certain way for so long that it needs to be a slow reintegration process.
Yeah, and when you're getting used to that need for your own space, you're losing that independence, becoming a team again, you're going to have to renegotiate some of the routines that you established. And that's going to be, for both the soldier and the spouse, that soldier's going to be used to having high tempo, maybe going out on missions, maybe it's sitting in the TOC all day, running missions, maybe it's constantly taking accountability of supplies, or whatever it may be. And then the spouse, on the other hand, who's used to taking care of the kid, taking care of the house, working, taking care of any of the emergencies, probably going to want that soldier to start picking up some of those tasks and making it a shared task and working as a team again. And you're going to have to renegotiate who's going to take over those roles. And that soldier, or whoever the head of the house was at the time, can't just jump immediately right back into that role and think things are going to go right back to how they were before, because you did get used to that independence and you're working through integrating back into a team. And again, as we said, we can't stress the importance of the negotiation aspect. It's not just one person telling the other, this is what you're going to do, this is what we're doing. You need to sit down and have that conversation. Here's what happened. Here's what happened when you're gone. Here's the roles that I took on. Here's what I'm still comfortable doing on my own, or here's what I need your help with. And maybe establishing a time frame of, as each person's maybe going to give up more tasks or take on more, to make sure that both people are comfortable and try to avoid those arguments or fights that might come up. And in order to do that, you have to go into kind of the final challenge of the post-deployment.
And that final challenge Austin's talking about is the reintegration into the family. That service members coming back, they probably had a very difficult way of life for the past couple of months. And coming back into our nation, our cultural norms, and just a daily routine at home that's more, I'd say, normal, is going to be difficult. But not only for them, but for the family, because they have to figure out again, how do they fit into the family. The family, had probably picked up new hobbies and new things to do to kind of fill that void and fill that time with the family member gone. So now, do I give up some of the hobbies I've learned to do because they're killing time, or do I start really enjoying these and I want to keep them up? And how do I fit, my family member back into my life and what I'm doing? So that way, nobody's completely uprooting themselves and then having to go back to these things on a deployment. You can't just keep these things on a shelf and then go get them and uncap it every time a deployment pops up. You're going to have to figure out how to kind of normalize that, whether, it is giving a few things up, but not everything, kind of understanding this is how things are with our family now, and this is how they're going to stay.
Yeah, and so we're kind of getting into the end of our podcast here. We have a few more ideas what we want to do in the future, specifically talking with some soldiers that have been through deployments. They've deployed both with conventional units and special operations, and really seeing how they've gone through these phases in their deployments, what worked for them, what didn't work, and hopefully we can share their story with you guys. So if you want to stay tuned, hopefully we'll get those podcasts coming in soon.
Thank you for listening.